Welcome to House of Horns. My name is Victor Corona, uh, and we have a great episode for you. A recap episode, as you know, the Rams survive beating the Colts. Gilbert, welcome back, Gilbert. Good to have you on this episode. Just give me your takeaways from this tale of two halves for the Rams and the Colts.
Yeah, I just want to give you my thoughts. The day after Victory Monday here for House of Horns, listeners and viewers of the channel here, and Rams fans. Obviously, that was a very chaotic game with a lot of twists and turns, and no pun to Matthew Stafford there, but that hip injury looked like it was hurting. Again, I'm not repeating anything here nor nothing new. Matthew Stafford is a tough sob, playing that hard and keeping the game alive even as the Colts were rallying. So before we kind of get into more details, there you go.
Yeah.
I was just really impressed with the way the Rams really built that lead to jump out to 20-0 before halftime, 23-0, and I'm like thinking, man, me and Vic got it so wrong about the predictions here. Like the Colts don't even look like on the Rams level. And it was so impressive to see the Rams have an identity, obviously a good game plan. I know some people are not happy how conservative Sean McVay has been, but when you have, young players and you have some injuries, you better run the freaking ball. And when I saw Kyren Williams running or having 17 carries before halftime, I'm like, that works, okay? It's kind of like the Seattle game. You're gonna keep going with the running game. It's like body shots in boxing. I keep saying it. You're gonna wear a team down. It didn't work, but I want to say it had to do with the Matthew Stafford injury a little bit, because once you wear people down, you take your shots down the field, and you could tell Stafford wasn't really, available to do that because he was hurting out there. But they did enough. The defense as well was a little rocky in the second half, but they held it down enough to get that overtime win. And I'll end it here. Puka Nacua, man, that guy keeps making special plays, and I was very surprised to hear that was his first touchdown, because I forgot he hasn't had a touchdown.
Yeah.
But what a way to do it in overtime fashion to win the game.
Yeah, that was my biggest thing. I kept wanting to point out, like, hey, when are we gonna get Puka's first touchdown? And it came at a great time. That they really needed especially going up 23-0. You couldn't, give away this game, especially on a short week. We saw what the Bengals looked like. They didn't even show up against the Titans. To see this young team show up and score on four of the first five possessions
Yeah.
was huge. I mean, yeah, like in the second half, as you pointed out, with Matthew Stafford being hurt, I think it changed everything for them. They even pointed it out in the broadcast, where you could tell when they were going to run and when they were going to pass. If he was under center, they were going to run the ball. If he was on shotgun, he was going to throw the ball. So it limited what Sean McVay could do. But I understand where people are coming from in terms of Sean McVay being conservative, and I thought he played it well. I didn't have a problem with it, Gilbert.
Yeah, the creativity is going to come if Cooper Kupp is ready for this week against the Eagles. And again, we're not going to look too far ahead. Promo to the Thursday show. Eagles at the Rams, week 5 of the NFL, but that's going too far ahead. When you don't have Cooper Kupp and you're down a lineman, you still have a young roster. You got to keep it simple, and it's kind of like what I was talking about with the Jets and Zach Wilson. Like, it was cool to see them. Okay, just go back to the basics and get a rhythm and get it going. That's what the Rams have to do, for an overall team offensively, and they showed the guys that they have, the few veterans, they've won a Super Bowl. That Colts roster is much younger than the Rams, and that's why they took it to them.
Yeah,
23
Gilbert.
to
Just
0.
to your point, sorry to
Yeah.
these two were the third and the fourth youngest rosters, the Colts and the Rams. So to your point,
Yeah, I'm guessing the Colts were third young, or one of younger than the Rams.
yes.
Okay, that makes sense. They have Stafford, they have Tyler Higbee, guys like that who won a Super Bowl, and you have Sean McVay, who's won the Super Bowl. Shane Steichen, a rookie head coach. So all around there was experience. So sometimes you got to be smart, and you got to just keep attacking what's working. And I don't get how people are frustrated about the second half. Like, your quarterback wasn't ready. Like, I'm actually very curious to see how he's feeling, this week when he talks to the media on Wednesday. Like, I'm sure he was running on adrenaline, and he was just trying, gut it out. He's a tough guy, going back to his days in Detroit. but how's he gonna feel the next day? Like you got to play the Eagles now. You really got to be on point for that. So uh, that's a problem for another day. But they got it done, and the defense should have hung their head because Anthony Richardson got going. For the most part, they contained Zach Moss. Like Zach Moss didn't really do anything until like the second half, and obviously Richardson being a good talent that he is, he carried this team. And we were saying like Richardson is a stud. Like he was throwing dimes to Alec Pierce and Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, guys like
The
that.
tight
So
ends. I
yeah,
mean, I
Mo Ali
kept
Cox, yeah.
yeah, they had like three tight ends. I'm like, or do they have a fourth tight end here? They got all three: Ogletree, Granson, and who did you point out? Who was the other one? The third one?
Oh, for wide receivers or tight ends?
No, the tight ends.
Oh, Mo Ali Cox.
Yeah, Mo Ali Cox. So there you go. Yeah.
So it kind of like they looked at each other in the mirror. It was a reflection of the same kind of offense, but without the versatile quarterback who's massive, he could run the ball. So when you have that so much experience, like we probably shouldn't be surprised. And I know there's people in the comments saying it's a week to week league and you
Yes.
guys shouldn't doubt the Rams. Well, we got to give you some kind of analysis. And sometimes we're
Yeah.
spot on and sometimes we're off. And, if it wasn't for Stafford's injury, I go back to that. Like, they probably would have blown out the Colts and it wouldn't have gotten that close. So I think if you're a Rams fan, it's frustrated about the overtime and having a sweat. Things happen and things change. But look at it on the bright side. You're 2-2 now through this gauntlet, and it's not going to get easier with the Eagles coming in. But Cooper Kupp's going to practice. I don't know if he's going to be able to play. We'll find out more throughout the week. Stay tuned again to the preview to find out more. But to get 2-2 and just win in overtime, even like a game like that where it got away from you, it builds like experience and it builds character for such a young team. So again, with Puka, man, like just watching the guy set up and just do everything a tight end does, do everything Cooper Kupp does. The way that Sean McVay designed to get him open on these over routes and doing all these motions, it is so much, and it's so impressive to see a rookie 5th-round pick from BYU be able to grasp everything so quickly. And I know it was a tough game against the Bengals, but to do it on short notice, like you said, was pretty impressive.
Yeah, and I mean Nakua, man, 39 catches, 501 receiving yards are the most for a player's first 4 games in NFL history. So the man continues to break records, and he's a great story. I know we kind of I heard a couple of people on the radio saying that the Rams are missing the boat by not having puka shells, with Rams stuff on there,
Yeah,
like for fans. I'm sure
yeah,
we'll
it is
start to see a
LA.
lot. Yeah, we need to start seeing those Puka Nakua jerseys as well for fans. I know a lot of fans are waiting for those. But I the other thing I wanted to just talk to you about in terms of this game was, I don't know if you saw this, but the offensive line. I thought the offensive
Yeah,
line held pretty well. The injury that happened to Matt Stafford, I was kind of going over when I Google hip pointer with Matthew Stafford, and he's had it before, so he's dealt with it before. So at least he knows what he's dealing with, if that's what it is.
mm.
And then the other thing I just wanted to point out in terms of the offensive line, they brought in Dotson at left guard, and then No Boom went over to left tackle, and I thought they did a good job. They were mauling, defenders. I thought as you talked about with the run game, they did a great job running the ball. And then I I I brought it up during the live, but I got to give a big shout out to Ronnie Rivers. He had 9 carries, but I thought he did a great job. There was 2 instances where there was a free rusher, and he picked up the blitz on that, and I thought that was really impressive. Both of them, even Kyren Williams, picking up some of those free rushers, I thought it was really good.
Yeah, you mentioned last week that the Rams need a number 2 running back to help out Kyron. He's still young and he's still learning, and losing Cam Akers, that was a downside of it. But seeing Ronnie Rivers, I thought the same thing when I was seeing him make a couple plays, some big chunk yards in the second half, just to kind of get longer drives to keep the Colts out of the rhythm. So having that a number 2 back, that was valuable. It wasn't like out of this world performance, but maybe as he gets going, he'll do better. And yeah, I was watching the game and I totally forgot about the offensive line because Alaric Jackson didn't play.
Hmm.
Then I see Joe Noteboom at the left tackle. I'm like, oh, that's interesting going back to left tackle. And that is kind of the plus about cross training offensive linemen. Like somebody gets hurt, you already play guard, you already play tackle, you already play center, whatever it is. that was amazing. And again, I credit to the Rams for not being afraid to mix and match the offensive line after such a wild season, like with injuries a year ago. They were ready. Like, okay, whatever happens here, we're gonna do this and do that. They're not afraid of doing it. So seeing Notebook do well at left tackle, the trade for Kevin Dotson, that worked out. We were talking about it when he got traded from the Steelers. Yeah, he might not start, but it's a depth piece. You need depth on the offensive line. So for him to be over a right guard, it worked out well. And we were pretty much raving about this Colts defensive line, this defensive front, and they only got 1.5 sacks on Matthew Stafford. So he was in rhythm, and a big part of it is being balanced. So I get you don't like the conservative play calling people, but it worked in this game.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I thought the only blemishes outside of giving up the lead, I thought this game would have probably been over. It wouldn't have been gone to overtime if Brett Maher makes one of those two missed field goals. I thought those were huge. He shanked both of them. They look really bad, but
Mhm.
he's for a guy they picked off the street. He's been solid. You can't ask for more than that. Of course. And then Aaron Donald just being wrecking things up, doing a great job. Another four tackles, a sack, and two QB hits. And as we pointed out in the preview, he has a really good rapport with Kobe Turner. Him and Kobe Turner on stunts have been, they're starting to get their chemistry down, and they're coming in, and and even there was that one play where Anthony Reed, he was holding on, like we know how big Aaron Donald is, but that just tells you how much bigger Anthony Richardson is, that he was holding on for dear life, and he caused an incomplete on that pass.
Yeah, a credit to Anthony Richardson because there was a couple of times where Aaron Donald was in his face, and he just like, okay, I'm gonna take this hit here, but I'm gonna rifle this dart to my receivers or tight end. So, it was a coming out party for Richardson too, and I was wondering how he would do after a concussion, and it's only his third career start. Like, okay, how would he do against Raheem Morris? And they got the pressure. The Rams got there. It's just like when this guy's a rare talent with an elite skill set. And that's the thing about Richardson. That's pretty cool to see. Is like he's confident. He knows he's a big dude. He knows he has a strong arm. And when he gets out of the pocket and he's looking down the field, like it's a nightmare to kind of keep track of. So, but Kobe Turner again, like he's been impressive. Byron Young has had his moments too. I know it wasn't like the biggest game here for him, but to just defense, like to do what they were doing in the first half to shut down this offense, and that's the NFL. Teams are going to catch up to you and figure it out after halftime and make adjustments. And when the Rams couldn't put it away, like it's tough to ask your defense, hey, keep holding it down. And for the most part, they did. They went into overtime, and luckily for the Rams, they got the coin toss and Stafford finished it. So they needed that one touchdown pass from Stafford. And I think it was an overall performance where I think I saw Puka was pretty harsh on himself for saying he was the one that let the defender go by on his block to cause the injury to Matthew Stafford. And obviously Stafford probably does not care about things like that. It's football, and Puka's been a great blocker, but things happen, and you got to face adversity. And the defense did its part, so I think for the most part they should be okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot you can take from this game, and I thought the biggest thing was just getting the win. Like as we talked about, I'm not trying to make excuses for the Rams. We knew that this team didn't have a lot of depth, and so in order for you to be able to be 2-2 right now, that's the most important thing. You get out of there with a win on a short week. Having to travel back to the Midwest, it's never easy, and wins are hard to come by in the
Yep.
NFL. And as long as you have Sean McVay and you can keep Matthew Stafford healthy, you have a good chance of winning games and having a successful season for what you were asking for from this team. So just wanted to get your final thoughts, Gilbert, on this win for on Victory Monday from the Rams.
Yeah, I saw a team that grew up, and like you mentioned, getting on the plane after ugly loss in Cincinnati, short week, and then going to LA, and then going back to the Midwest, and going to Indy, and then also like losing the league, like that messes with your mental mindset too. And for them to look so thrilled and relieved to win that game, and Sean McVay throwing his arms in the air, like that's like the old Rams when they were winning a bunch of games, everybody's just happy and celebrating. So I think for me, it was a lot of learning lessons in this game. maybe even more than the Seahawks game. The kind of was like, oh, okay, that okay. Everything was so quick. It was like, all right, they did well. Then you lose two in a row, and then you start. That's when the thing's starting to feel like it's a lot. Like you can't do this every single week. It's a long season, and to do that, okay, you know what? You belong in the league, and I think earlier before the season started, I said, you know what? I think they'll win 7 games. You had them in the playoffs. I'm ready to say they'll probably win 9 games. I don't know about wild card just yet, but like they're impressing me every single week, and I've been wrong for the most part on this team. And I saw a team that grew up, and that's definitely the biggest thing I took away.
Yeah, and that's all you can ask for, especially when there's not a lot of expectations from a team. It's just to see them grow because you never know from see it's a as Jesse Bonilla in the comments, says like it's a week to week um league, and so you're just trying to get better each week, and you want to you they've won 2 road games, Gilbert. Their wins are on the road, so
Interesting.
that's pretty impressive. And then just lastly, what who gets your 12 pack of the player of the game?
Yeah, I'm just gonna go with Stafford. Probably an easy choice for him to be on point to build that lead for the first half, and then to just kind of tough it out with the hip injury. That looked painful. He kept grabbing it, and I think I read that he also like he re-injured it later in the game. He took more hits, so just to kind of keep fighting. And I'm sure, like even if he was like what 50%. I know the broadcast was saying at some point you're probably hurting your team. You should like sit down, but I think having Stafford lead everybody and keep him composed and share his wisdom was big. And then he made that one throw to Puka. That was enough. Like you mentioned, they won the game. Everything else, don't worry about it. It's a this league, you get the wins. It's ugly. Who cares? Like Mike Tomlin said for the Steelers, they're not apologizing for winning ugly. And Stafford
Yep.
was there to build it and then hold it down for the game-winning touchdown.
Yeah, for me, it's gonna be Puka. Like, he continues his record, breaking, streak, and I'm sure it's gonna continue because they're gonna keep feeding him. We'll see if Cooper Cup is ready, but I think with winning this, that's how important winning this game was. That now you can kind of tell them, hey, wait another week. We'll rather get you back against Arizona, and but we'll see what happens. Then that's a good segue for our preview. Make sure you check
Yeah,
out our preview this week because there's going to be a lot of notes in terms of what happens, how do they go about bringing Cooper Cup along. But Gilbert, what else you have working for people to go and check out? You can find Gilbert at G Manzano 24 on X, and he does it for Sports Illustrated. He's an NFL staff writer. So go ahead, Gilbert.
yeah, I already have a story up. It's kind of a fun story I do. It's called Fact or Fiction, and I wanted to go bold with the Rams, but I asked the question: Fact or Fiction? Will the Rams win 9 games? I think it's a fact. I already dropped the nugget earlier here in the show, but maybe correct me and let me know. It's a playoff team. We'll see. I got to see more. I'm trying to get in a habit where I don't get carried away because I've been get carried away a lot this season. So I'm trying to slow down, but they've been impressive. And yeah, check out my winners and losers column that comes out on Tuesdays. But mainly Sunday, Mondays, Tuesday. I got a bunch of stories that come out that I lose track of from the week. Check it out at SI. If you see my name on the byline, click on it. All the stories will pop up as well.
Well, there you have it. A victory Monday for the Rams. Just want to say shout out to everybody that's in the comments who, without you guys, we wouldn't be doing this. So very thankful to the new subscribers. We had somebody comment on there that, they gave us kind of a review, but
Yeah.
we really are thankful for all that. Like I said, continue send us your comments. We'll try to get them on. There wasn't a question, so we didn't get it on here. But for the preview, if you have any questions, please leave it on here, and we'll get to it. Gilbert, that's all I have for you. You can go ahead and close us out unless you have something else for the
No,
people.
that's it. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to share my takeaways about this massive win for the Rams. And yes, let's move on to Week 5. Rams hosting the Eagles. Check out the channel for that preview and make sure to subscribe. Via compa, tela compa. On that note, ya nos vamos. Pues, vámonos.